Good evening, class. My name is Bobby Evans, and tonight I will be doing our fifth and final video journal for Project Management 340A. Throughout the next 3 to 5 minutes, I will be going over 6 questions for our journal. Question 1. Explain the difference between a risk and an issue, and provide an example of each. Well, an issue is what you see up front. You see it right in front of you, you need to resolve it. It means it wasn't planned out, whereas a risk is a future event that may or may not occur that you usually have identified during your planning phase. An example of an issue would be if some of my workers didn't show up to work on time. I expect more of them, so I don't put that in my risk analysis at the beginning, and they're in the risk planning phase. Whereas a risk would be one of our risks in my current project was if the family the house that we're working on, if they're not able to be there because they have to be there in order for us to work on the HVAC system. So if they unexpectedly have something come up throughout their day, that means one of our risks came to life. That's the difference between a risk and an issue. Second question, explain the difference between risk management at the project and program level. Well, a project has a beginning and an end, whereas many programs are continuous. For example, while in the military, our safety program had no ending, whereas many of the projects I worked on did. We had a good program in place that didn't have nearly the amount of risk associated as what projects do. Because in most projects, there's a lot more moving parts than what there are in programs. Because once you have a good program in place, it usually runs continuously without issues. Whereas projects, each and every day you could have a certain risk pop up. Question 3. Explain a workaround. Does my current organization use workarounds? If they do use workarounds, what does that say about your organization's use of risk management? Is it good or is it bad? Well, a workaround is a response to an unanticipated problem that occurs during a project. These are issues that were not addressed during the planning phase. I believe that if an organization believes in workarounds as a strategy, they are not properly using risk management. Therefore, workarounds, that's a bad plan. Very bad use of risk management. Question 4. What is the first step to take when a risk trigger occurs? Seeing that a trigger is an indicator that a risk may occur, the first step that you'd want to take in this situation is to initiate the plan. Hence the whole reason for a planning phase, or R&P, risk management plan. Question 5. During a risk audit, it is determined that the project team is performing poorly. As a project manager or a risk champion, what should I do? Well, I always believe in creating a shared vision. If my team is performing poorly, they don't have good attitudes, then clearly we need to have a meeting and go over the shared vision. We need to review the goals and objectives of a certain project. I will talk about the direction of the team and what the successful completion of this current project could do for us and our careers. And it's up to them to make it or break it. So I believe a shared vision would help get my team back on track. Question 6. How can you relate to Nehemiah's reliance on the Lord throughout this building project to your current project? Just as Nehemiah relied on God in every step that he took, I try to live by that example in all that I do. Not specifically just relating to a project, but in every day of my life. Nehemiah showed no concern of being attacked, because he knew that God had his back in everything that he did. All his people were prepared with weapons by their sides if they were to be attacked. It is important for me to know that it is important for me to believe and know that God has a plan mapped out for my life. And it is my responsibility to align my footsteps with the path God has already built. So in everything that I do it for God, and I do it the best of my abilities. Well, that's all 6 questions answered, and it's been really fun answering and doing all these video journals every week. Have a good one.